And once again, ciao, hi, hey, hola, guys, or amigos, whichever one you prefer to be called. Yes, amigos means friends. That's more amicable, I guess. But I think guys is pretty friendly as well. Anyway, it's your boy M.K.S, as I say, back here with the fourth and final part, I hope I put the right title in, of, sorry, check that on that note. Pretty sure I put part 4. Yep. Sometimes I get my days mixed up, or on rare occasions, as recall, I put the wrong number in. But, anyway, I didn't get around to finishing this in April, so I thought I'd finally get around. As it's a Saturday today, I thought I'd do this, but I've had a procrastinating day as usual, as often happens. So I was thinking, instead of doing my usual list form videos, I was thinking of doing a video where I was talking about one or two ideas and maybe do it. And then I think, like, how do I know when to finish? But maybe do it over a certain amount of time when I look at the clock in the corner. But anyway, this is the fourth and final part, as I say, of Asian Saturdays, as I put it. But yeah, so my quest to empower Asia on Saturdays. This coming Monday, ideally, I hope to make 6 videos, and one of them, I hope to make parts 1, 2, 3, and 4 of um, without giving too much away. I was thinking, like, I could say, May the Force be with Asia, because it's May the 4th. That's a Star Wars reference. I don't really watch many films, but yeah, and also I hope to finish parts 3 and 4, ideally, of my plans for the month. I have this strange pattern many strange patterns, and one of them is, like I say, the 4 becomes a 6, because I used to think of trying to empower 4 groups of people, and then it became 6 or 4 groups of nations. So I won't go into too much into that, but it's one of my quirky patterns. So I thought it'd be fitting if I did 6 videos on the 4th if I can. But I do get worried about making so many videos. But anyway, these are pointers number 31 to 40 on how to empower Asia. And I'd love to know how you would empower Asia, and any words that you think of that begin with S that could be to do with empowerment, or empowering Asia on Saturdays. I know most people probably wouldn't have my quirky thing, my strange thing, where I try to think of certain things on certain dates and that kind of or days or whatever. Even I've kept my mobiles in a different room, hopefully, meaning I won't get any distractions. But anyway, but yeah. So these are points number 31 to 40. As I say. So number 31, I hope that in the future, and normally in part 4, generally speaking, I try and change it now and then. I try and mix up, so to speak. But normally I think of, like, what I hope to achieve in the future in part 4. So in the future, hopefully, I'll have empowered and supported as many Asian startups, as possible. And I was thinking, like, nations like Malaysia, India, Indonesia, Singapore, Central Asian nations, Hong Kong, mainland China, Japan, and basically all possible Asian nations, especially Central Asian ones, and Malaysia. Malaysia, truly Asia, I think would be quite fitting if they hosted those events. I'd love for them to host as many things, as many summits, conferences, events, and things like that generally, and that kind of thing, to attract, to talk about supporting Asian startups and SMEs and that kind of thing. I was thinking of Hong Kong because I saw something about Hong Kong being Asia's events capital, but I'd love for it to be Central Asian nations mainly, and Malaysia, but also, I would say, Hong Kong, China, India, and the rest of Asia too. Supporting startups from across Asia, looking at how they can learn from each other, connect together, promote their projects and that kind of thing. So I hope to do that and empower as many Asian as possible ASAP. Number 32. One thing is, side note, I had a bit of technical issues. So I had this problem that I often have where my mouse is, I put mouse in speech marks, it's not really a mouse, but the control device that controls the cursor, whatever it's called in this case. It'd be cool if I could connect it to a mouse. Maybe it'd work more often, but every now and then it stops working. The rest of the laptop works, but really annoyingly, I can't get from one point to the other and that kind of thing. So I had to unplug it and then wait for it to run out of battery. And thankfully, normally, when I'll get back at once again. But also, I'd love to go back to Asian empowerment. I did mention like how everything I do this month, I hope to pretty much include something to do with Asian empowerment. Even when I talk about football, like time football, or soccer, or whatever, and something that kind of thing, Leicester as well, I guess. And on that case, having tours, for instance, in Asia as well, um, which I hope to come to. But as I say, from startups to, for some reason I put startups in speech marks, I don't know why, but I suppose it's not a word I came up with, it's something I read, but I suppose you could say the same about SMEs and things like that. Startups to SMEs to even maybe bigger businesses, and maybe learning, like sole traders and startups learning to go from that stage all the way to become SMEs, and then even all the way further to becoming bigger businesses and also SMEs. Like, so how Asian businesses can grow, scale, and become as big as possible, which I'm sure they want to do. Maybe not too quickly, but how they can learn from each other, how they can help each other's brands to trade around the world, that kind of thing. For instance, brands like Samsung and other Asian brands and businesses generally, I love to promote those, and also like people, Asians in STEM, Asian scientists working together to solve problems and all that kind of thing. Number 33, hopefully promoting libertarianism in Asia. That's not specifically something for, but not coming with a cold or a flu or whatever, but coming down with a cold or a flu. But I know that's not something specifically for Saturdays, but generally speaking, I love to promote libertarianism and look at how you can get free support as much as possible, or at least cheap support and like events which Asian startups, SMEs, and businesses and scientists and whatever can go to for free. So let's say, for instance, Hong Kong or again Central Asia, Malaysia, and as many nations in Asia as possible, they could host their own events which invite all possible startups to these events, for instance, and they would get to showcase what they are, what their startup is, what it hopes to achieve, maybe, or at least sell their products, and maybe even talk a bit about what they hope to achieve, and look at potential investors as well as customers, markets. I'm envisaging like market stalls where customers can buy that sort of stuff and what they're selling and that kind of thing. But yeah, they could have those for startups. They could have similar events for SMEs. They could have some businesses generally of all different sizes and look at what they can learn from each other. Some with like potential investors, a bit like Shark Tank, Dragon's Den, things like that. I love for Asian nations to have many shows like that. Like for instance, Malaysia could have the Dragon's Den and different sort of things, like the Tiger's Den and that kind of thing. Thinking about how tigers were in Asia, but they could have lots of business shows like that to promote business. I was thinking of Malaysia with its Chinese connection could have like the Dragon's Den as well, because like the symbol for like China and whatnot. But yeah, having those events where the idea would be to promote enterprise and that kind of thing across Asia. Again, similar could be for science, tech, engineering, maths, STEM generally, and different areas. As everyone, let me know what you think. Number 34, I hope people from across Asia check out these videos. Number 35, I love to support Asian social media influencers from Asia and Asians from around the world. Being part Asian myself, I guess. In the past, I thought of projects that I want to support. Well, I still do. I want to support African nations, but I thought it'd be cool to have some time to support Asian nations as well, especially being part Asian as well and an anti-imperialist. And that Asian nations also were colonized. Maybe Africa and Asia could work together on reparations, look at what they have in common, and that kind of thing. Talk about Egypt being a bridge between the two. On subject of Egypt, I would love for them to host both Asian and African startups and SMEs and that kind of thing, scientists and whatnot. People STEM generally from Africa and Asia, and imagining a market of like 4 or 5 billion people or whatever it is between Africa and Asia together. I think Asia alone would probably have around about 4 billion or even more than that, roughly. I suppose if it's 60% of the world's population, which is approximately 8 billion, then I guess somewhere between 4 and 5 billion. And when you add Africa's population as well, if with Egypt they could have like a market where they talk about connecting somehow. As many of, I assume they won't all connect, but I'd love to limit divisions and promote pan-Asianism and pan-Africanism and even links between Africa and Asia together as well. Again, Egypt could facilitate that. Also, I love to support Asian script writers, story writers, uh, um, special effects, people in special effects. I'm thinking things with M.K.S because it's Saturday. I mentioned that before, like singers, songwriters, and singer-songwriters. That people are just singers, people are just songwriters, and people are both. Um, and yeah, different companies that promote like Asian production companies and that kind of thing, and also how they can connect with the diaspora as well, perhaps. Um, but yeah, in the future, hopefully, I will have empowered as many of those groups, and hopefully continue to do so as much as possible and support Asian ambition. Again, as singers, songwriters, and singer-songwriters, Asians in sports and different areas, script writers, special effects, people, Asians working in special effects, Asians in STEM, and all sorts of things like that. And I'm 36, as a sports generally. And I love for, I was thinking of Samsung, I would love for Samsung to invest into Sampdoria and Celtic, I guess, and also for Asian nations to host uh, Sampdoria, Sassuolo, Salernitana, Roma, and all the possible Italian teams, more generally Serie A teams, and hopefully Celtic as well, and maybe even Leicester, LCFC, Leicester City Football Club, because they have, I suppose, Leicestershire itself is quite a diverse area. I suppose Birmingham, which is also quite diverse, maybe they could host those teams, and it maybe even places which have a large Asian diaspora could be invited to do tours of Asia. Also, those from the diaspora. And I'm 37. As I say, I'd love to support Asian sports generally. When it comes to soccer or whatever you look at that normally, I prefer Italian soccer and Celtic. Um, but it would still be great to see the development of soccer across Asia. But yeah, again, I'd love to see, but once again, I'd love to see Sampdoria, Sassuolo, Salernitana, Roma, Celtic, or other possible Serie A or Italian teams, the Italian national team, and even like junior teams, young people from Italy, school children, getting to go across Asia to practice, which hopefully will help the development of Italian footballers to get more chance to practice Italian soccer, whatever you call it. But also in other sports, even though I'm not hugely into those, I love to support Asia and projects that benefit Asia generally. But hopefully, again, normally for part four, I think of like what I hope to achieve in the future and how uh, I'd love to connect Asia together and promote Pan-Asianism and support projects from Asia. Number 39, on that note, I'd love to know how you think we could support projects in Asia. And number 40, last time I sort of bottled it, I don't know if I should say this, very immature of me. I hope this doesn't put off potential investors. I normally say at the end of the video, coincidentally, point number 30 and point number 40, I think it rhymes with, I know it rhymes with, rather, 30, dirty and naughty, so I think I like true confessions and all that kind of, I love for Asians to get to shag, to get to screw and get laid and that, well, same thing I guess. But I'm thinking because Saturday, I thought that. I was going to say point number 30, I love to shag. I wish God would love Asians enough to let them be male escorts, male pros, gigolos or whatever the difference is. Basically to get free nookie, wouldn't get paid for the privilege. And on that bombshell, I'm out.